Welcome back to another AD&D Toolkit tutorial video. This one is going to be about Toolkit, and it's in regards to a couple of new modules or DM tools that we've created. So we keep track of, these are all different modules you can expand accordion style in the campaign manager for Dungeon Masters. And so we're tracking a bunch of statistics now that we've given the players or the members access to. And so, for instance, these are a bunch of stats for the current campaign. The number of sessions run. All right, we've only played one session. Actually, these numbers are going to be out of whack because this is my testing campaign. So this campaign I had tested using it enough to rack up 764 days, a couple of years within the campaign. The number of sessions should be much higher, but as I said, due to testing features out, the numbers are out of whack. The number of real days that we've actually played, so this would be calculated from the day that the real life calendar day that we create the campaign to the current day. That's how many days have transpired, and that's how many real days would be tracked here. The number of players, so not the number of characters, but the number of players involved in our campaign, then the number of characters involved in the campaign. So in this particular one, there's only 2 players. There's 2 accounts of mine, but I have 8 characters on both of those accounts, and I use that to test out my campaign. The highest level XP of any character that has played in the campaign to date, doesn't have to be a current character, could be one that's dead already or just left, but the highest XP that was achieved in this campaign, the highest level, number of comas. In first edition, a lot of characters go into a coma prior to or in lieu of dying. The actual number of character deaths, and then breaking down racial stats, how many of the characters were dwarves, elves, gnomes, and so forth. The way to get most of these statistics in here is by using our attendance module. And so at the end of each session that I play, there's 2 modules that I finish my session with. The first one would be the expenses calculator. And so every day that I advance my campaign within Toolkit tallies up into here. And then at the end of my session, I click calculate. And let's say it was 11 days we had played in the campaign. So my characters would all be responsible for 11 days worth of a prorated expense value. So the DMG says 100 gold pieces per level of the character per month should be expenses they've got to lay out. If we played 11 days, that would be about a third of that. And that's how much each character would be responsible at the end of our session for paying for expenses. So I do that one at the end of my session, and then I also do the attendance. All the characters that are currently active, doesn't mean these are the characters all linked to my campaign, only the ones who are active in this session will be populated here, and they'll all have check marks. If for whatever reason I want to uncheck one, if somebody left early and I don't want to give them credit, I can do that, but otherwise they auto-populate with a check, and click submit, and that's it. Those are the 2 things I do, just 2 quick submissions, and we're done. And they do a lot of calculations behind the scene. And so all of the data for these characters are what make up these campaign statistics. So the races, right? We'll take all of these races. Let's say War Baron, I believe, is a human, and there's been 6 human characters in my sessions. If I click submit for today's session, this number will now go up to 7 because another human just played. Ab, I think, might be an elf, and so the elves would go up by 1 and so forth. That's how that works. If any of these characters had in excess of 11 levels, this would increase to the current level, current highest. Same for XP and so forth. So that's how a lot of this data accumulates here, except for the time. And so you see where we have campaign days and real days. When we advance days within our campaign, that's what we'll add days onto the campaign days. Sessions will be incremented up every time we do an attendance submission, because again, this should only be one time at the end of a session. And not only will it give us some campaign statistics, but also each Toolkit member can go to their own account page, and they can see the number of sessions they have played as a player. So this could be numerous characters they own. It's just how many sessions have they played within Toolkit with a number of characters and a number of dungeon masters and a number of campaigns, just total for this account holder. And then here would be the number of sessions I have played as a dungeon master on this account. So those are a couple of other stats you can generate by clicking that submission button on the attendance module. So it's a short video, but pretty cool. Last thing I did want to show you actually before we move on is in Manage Characters, we added a few new buttons in here. You'll see that it does track attendance for each character in here. If the DM wants that information, he can access it, or she. You used to, of course, always be able to kick characters out of your campaign, and you can activate and deactivate them if they're playing the current session or not. But the two new ones are Coma and Kill. So any of these characters that goes into a coma, meaning they've reached 0 HP, they're not necessarily dead, and if a friendly unit, a friendly character takes care of them in the midst of battle and stops their bleeding and tends to their wounds and so forth, they can recover with a week's bed rest. But that still qualifies as having hit 0 hit points. They're out of action for a week, and that's a coma. And if you want to track that, you would just click the coma link here for any of these characters, and campaign statistics would increase. This number would go up. So let's try that now, actually. Before we do, I just want to show you that on the character sheet under chronic conditions where parasitic infestations and diseases will be tracked, only chronic ones, not acute ones, they'll be tracked here on the character sheet because they're permanent conditions that flare up or disappear over time. Also now we're tracking the number of comas they have had. So War Baron, right, this is my character War Baron. If during this session he was to get a coma, he had 0 currently, and there are 2 comas total in the campaign so far. When I click the coma button here for War Baron, you'll see we now have 3 total comas in this campaign. And on War Barons, as you can guess, his character sheet, he's now got 1 coma to his record. And so DMs can keep track of that. And perhaps you want to, too many concussions can cause problems, right? So can comas cause permanent debilitating problems for a person. So this is something that you might want to keep track of and institute some kind of negative consequence to a player who starts racking up comas here but still alive. Similarly, under Manage Characters, you can kill them off. So it used to be if a character died, we just kicked them out, or the player would remove them and bring in a new character. But if you would like to track that, just click Kill, which I'm not going to do here. It will kick them out of the campaign, and it will also track a death for the campaign. So you can keep track of deaths too if you would like. So that's it. Short video, a couple of new modules, some new statistics. I hope you like them. I hope our DMs like them. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope to see you at the next one. Till then, keep bringing your friends into AD&D.